It was a warm summer night, the kind where the air hung heavy with the scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of crickets sang in harmony with the distant hum of the streetlights. I was just a 12-year-old boy, blissfully ignorant of the terrors that awaited me. That evening, my parents had gone out for a rare dinner, leaving me alone in our cozy house. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a creeping unease began to settle upon me. The house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a vast maze of shadows and whispers. I tried to shake off the feeling and distracted myself with video games and TV, but the ominous stillness that clung to the air would not be ignored. When it was time for bed, I hesitated at my bedroom door. The soft glow of the nightlight spilled into the hallway, casting eerie shadows. I wished my parents were home, but I didn't want to appear like a child. Bravely, I entered my room and crawled beneath my sheets, leaving only a small crack for the nightlight to shine through. I lay there in the dim light, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that my fear was baseless. But then I heard it. A soft, rhythmic breathing coming from beneath my bed. My heart raced and my breath quickened as the dread of the unknown washed over me. Trembling, I mustered the courage to peek down. My eyes met a sight that would forever haunt my dreams. A pallid, emaciated hand, like something from a nightmare, stretched out from under the bed, its fingers creeping toward my trembling form. I screamed and scrambled from my bed, but the sinister intruder was faster. It emerged from the shadows, a grotesque creature, limbs contorted and eyes devoid of humanity. It moved with an unnatural grace. Inching closer, its mouth twisted into a sinister smile. I darted from my room, my heart pounding in my chest. The fiend followed, relentless and unhurried. The house seemed endless, the hallway stretching into infinity. As I raced for the front door, gasping for breath, I burst into the moonlit night, and the intruder's presence vanished. For years, I couldn't sleep without the lights on, haunted by the nightmarish intruder. The terror of that evening lingered like a dark cloud over my life. My advice to you, dear listener, is to trust your instincts. When you feel that something is amiss, don't ignore it. Your fears may be well-founded, and in the darkest corners of your world, something sinister may be lurking. Be vigilant, and never underestimate the power of the unknown that hides beneath your bed, waiting to seize its moment. The chilling wind cut through the forest like a knife, and I huddled closer to my comrade, Ivan, as we trudged through the snow-covered woods. We were Soviet soldiers during World War II, far from the front lines, on a mission so secret we had only been given minimal information. The forest was a desolate, frozen wasteland, its trees gnarled and eerie. As we pressed on, an otherworldly scream pierced the silence. It was a sound unlike anything I had ever heard, a bone-chilling, guttural cry that sent shivers down my spine. Ivan and I exchanged nervous glances, gripping our rifles tighter. We followed the sound deeper into the woods, our footsteps muffled by the thick snow. The moonlight cast long, haunting shadows, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. That scream echoed again, closer this time, as if it were mocking us. Finally, we stumbled upon a clearing, and the sight that greeted us was a nightmare made flesh. A mutilated horse lay in the snow, its entrails spilling out in a grotesque display. Blood stained the white canvas of the forest, and a cold dread settled in my chest. This was not the work of a human. Ivan and I scanned the surroundings, our breath visible in the frigid air. Then we saw it, a creature, hunched and feral, with twisted, elongated limbs. Its eyes gleamed with an unholy light, and it stared at us with an inscrutable malevolence. I whispered to Ivan, "We need to get out of here. Now." We turned to leave, but as we retreated, the creature began to stalk us. Its movements were unnatural, like a marionette controlled by a malevolent puppeteer. It was gaining on us, and terror gripped our hearts. We sprinted through the forest, our footfalls echoing like thunder, and the creature followed, its unearthly scream still haunting our ears. we reached the edge of the woods, where our comrades were waiting. They opened fire on the creature, and it let out one final agonizing scream before collapsing into the snow. As we caught our breath, I couldn't help but wonder what we had encountered in those woods. It was a horror beyond anything I could have imagined. But one thing was clear. There were forces in this world, ancient and malevolent, that were best left undisturbed. As the story concludes, I leave you with this advice, dear listener. Sometimes, the most horrifying things are found in the unlikeliest of places. If you ever hear an otherworldly scream in the woods, do not follow it. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, for the truth they hold can be a terror beyond imagination. I never imagined the horrors that would unfold when we moved into our new home on Elm Street. It was a quaint little house with a white picket fence, and my wife and I were thrilled to start a new chapter in our lives. The neighbors seemed pleasant, except for one. The man who lived next door was our very own nightmare, and he would make sure we knew it. His name was Mr. Johnson, a reclusive figure with an unsettling aura. He rarely left his house, but his gaze was always fixed on us. Every time we ventured into our yard, we felt his eyes upon us, and it sent shivers down our spines. One evening, we found a chilling note pinned to our front door. "Leave this place while you still can." It was written in jagged, angry letters, and the words sent a cold fear through our hearts. We knew the note was from Mr. Johnson. We called the police, but they couldn't do anything without concrete evidence. The harassment continued. Our windows were shattered, strange noises echoed through the night, and our garden was vandalized. We became prisoners in our own home, our sanctuary now a place of torment. Desperation set in, and we tried to sell the house, but no one would buy it once they learned about our unwelcome neighbor. We were trapped, with no escape from this living nightmare. One fateful night, we heard a loud crash from our backyard. My heart pounded as we cautiously made our way to the window. Through the darkness, we saw Mr. Johnson, wild-eyed and wielding a knife. He had broken into our home. With trembling hands, I dialed 911 as we barricaded ourselves in the bedroom. Minutes felt like hours as we waited for the police to arrive. The sound of his heavy footsteps echoed through the house, and we could hear his maniacal laughter. The fear was overwhelming, but we had no choice but to wait. The police finally arrived, and they apprehended Mr. Johnson. His basement was a chamber of horrors, filled with evidence of his sinister intentions. As they led him away in handcuffs, he stared at us with a wicked grin. The nightmare had ended, but the scars remained. We realized that in the face of terror, we must be vigilant and seek help from the authorities. The darkness in the human soul can be closer than you think, lurking just next door. Our advice to you, dear listener, is to trust your instincts and never underestimate the evil that may lurk in the most unexpected places.